You found yourself on another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United, and on today's episode, Harrison Barnes leads the Sacramento Kings to an all-time win against the Golden State Warriors in an absolute thriller, while the same old Bulls show up against the Lakers. We got a lot to break down right here on Let 'em Know Kings United. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls. This is Let 'em Know Kings United. Let 'em know, Nation, you already know what time it is. Welcome to another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United, your Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and Chicago Bulls post-game reaction podcast. And I am your host, Skylar Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning in onto today's program. And you can find Let 'em Know Kings United, which is 100% completely free and available on Amazon Music, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Pandora, Spotify, or wherever else you want to listen to this show. Give the show a follow on those platforms if you can, please. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you want to listen to this on. It is a great way to support the podcast, and I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. And the title of today's show, Kings Showed Up, Bulls didn't, because I'm going to talk about the Sacramento Kings in the next segment of this podcast, because it was an outstanding game between the Kings and the Warriors, and I'm going to talk about that in the next part of the show. But I want to open the show by going off once again on the Chicago Bulls, which are an absolute disgrace. 141-132 the final as the LA Lakers defeated the Chicago Bulls. Now, the first quarter, it was back and forth. It was bang, bang, back and forth. Everybody was making shots. Everybody was making plays. At one point, Chicago had a lead by 1 point, and then the next minute, LA took the lead. It was just a back and forth battle in the first quarter, and I thought, okay, this is going to be that type of game. It's going to be a back and forth game between DeMar DeRozan, who was back in LA and actually did really well, scoring 32 points, and LeBron Ramon James, the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, year 21, who, by the way, is going to the NBA All-Star game for the 20th consecutive year. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But then the second quarter happened. 42-25, second quarter advantage for the Los Angeles Lakers. And despite the fact that the Bulls tried to make it close to the third quarter and the fourth quarter when they outscored the LA Lakers 39-29, it was just too little, too late for Chicago, because once again, this team is pathetic. This team is lifeless. This team does not care. They do not care about winning. They do not care about establishing a culture or a standard that Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and those guys that you falsely dishonored a couple of weeks ago, by the way. I'm just going to continue to say that until the until the Bulls get excuse me, I got tickles in my damn throat just talking about it. The Bulls continue to be a team that is full of dishonor. I mentioned this. I actually watched the CHGO Bulls postgame show with my guys Matt Peck, Big Dave, and Will the Go Gottlieb. Really, really awesome people. I encourage you guys, if you want to continue to support the Chicago Bulls outside of Let 'em Know Kings United, go listen to Lockdown Bulls with my guys Hayes and Pat, and CHGO Bulls with Big Dave, Peck, Will the Go Gottlieb, and also Chicago Bulls Central with my man Hayes. I commented on the CHGO page overnight. It was like after the game was over. The comment that actually got on the show, by the way, said, and I quote, "This team is careless. No mentality, no fight, no leadership. Kobe White was the only guy that showed up." And I'm staying by it. I'm standing by what I talked about when I commented on it. Because, yes, DeMar DeRozan scored 32 points. We expected DeMar to score 32 points, right? Especially being back in LA. But Kobe White was the only guy that showed up for the Chicago Bulls. I saw a lot of good patience by Kobe White. His hesitation move is becoming to be a big secret weapon for him. I love the fact that Kobe White showed up and showed out in this game. But ultimately, the Bulls dug themselves in way big of a hole. Another hole that the Bulls continue to dig themselves into, in the words of Billy Donovan. The difference in the game was the foul line for them. We fouled them too much. They shot astronomically well, especially from three-point range, and the close of the second quarter really hurt them, and the turnovers. It's like the Bulls beat themselves. The Bulls beat the Bulls. I mean, it's just that simple, really. It's just that simple. And it's absolutely no excuse for this. You had 2 days off. Not 1, but 2 days off. Coming off a loss against Phoenix where you beat Phoenix, you dominated them in the first half, and then Kevin Durant showed up in the second half and did what Kevin Durant did. I'm not going to fault Kevin Durant for beating us in Phoenix because that's what Kevin Durant does. I respect that and I get it. But the way you come out from the second quarter on, just absolutely lifeless. There is no energy. There is no mentality. There is no leadership on this team. There is no accountability on this team. At one point, the offense was just stagnant. It was just stagnant. There was too much standing on the perimeter. There was too much standing in the perimeter area. There was no cutting. There was no screening action. There was no urgency by the Bulls tonight. Absolutely no urgency. And then the last 6 minutes, they decided, let's just show up and play our offense. Why don't we learn to do that from the jump? Because that's what the Lakers did. The Lakers from the jump came out and showed more energy, more mentality, more accountability, and more leadership. Darvin Ham, you're not the leader of this team. LeBron James clearly is. The Lakers were just better than you. It's that simple. The Lakers were better than you. LeBron James, 25 points, 12 assists a few hours after being named to his 20th NBA All-Star team, which is a record, by the way. And D'Angelo Russell, this guy is trying to get his trade value up. That's crazy. He went crazy last night. 8 3-pointers and scored 29 points. Austin Reeves had 20 points, 8 assists. Jared Vanderbilt, who has really good defense, added a season-high 17 points, and the Lakers made 60% of their shots in their 4th win in the last 6. LeBron James said, "We're just playing the right way." Guys are feeling very comfortable out there. We've got guys that can make shots. We've got guys that can make plays. Doesn't matter who's shooting. With this victory, the Lakers went 6-6 to wrap up a 23-day stretch in which they had just one game outside of Los Angeles. They'll spend the next 2 weeks on a 6-game road trip while the Grammy Awards take over their downtown arena in the Crypto.com arena. Although D'Angelo Russell did not score in the 4th, he finished one shy of his career high in 3-pointers, and he continued to complicate the Lakers' decisions on his future with another big game ahead of the trade deadline. The point guard contract is highly movable, but LA must decide whether it can get enough in return to shake up its 500 season, particularly if Russell can keep up his recent stretch of outstanding play. "My confidence is through the roof," Russell said, "and I'm going to keep it there. I just try to compliment Braun and AD. I know they can get us a game. out of game single-handedly, so just try to compliment them, if that's be shooting, facilitating, whatever that may be. D'Angelo Russell has more accountability than the entire Chicago Bulls organization. DeMar DeRozan scored 14 of his 32 points in the fourth quarter to lead 6 scores in double figures with Chicago, who lost the first 2 games on a 3-game West Coast swing. Nikola Vucevic had 20 points, and former Lakers guard Alex Caruso had 17. But the guy who impressed me the most was Kobe White. He added 25 points and actually played more. He actually played better than the entire Bulls team. I gotta be perfectly honest with that. LeBron James also became the first 20-time All-Star in NBA history, surpassing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record. LeBron, who topped Kareem as the leading scorer in league history last season, will also start his 20th All-Star game in year 21. LeBron James said, I've exceeded expectations in my career, so it's just humbling. It's very cool to be able to continue to have these compliments throughout your career, but I've exceeded anything that I've ever dreamed of that I would be in the NBA, and I did that a long time ago. Everything else is just kind of extra credit. And before the game, Billy Donovan, who was the worst coach of all time, said Zach LaVine will be out at least another week before his ankle is reevaluated. The UCLA product was frequently linked with the Lakers in trade rumors earlier this season. And by the way, shout out to Lonzo Ball. He was on the bench for the Chicago Bulls last night. It was good to see him. But Billy Donovan, once again, you are terrible. You are the worst coach in the history of the Chicago Bulls. When you were coaching the University of Florida in 2005, the Florida Gators, when you led them, which had a beast by the name of Joakim Noah, to an NBA championship, you showed more urgency than this. This is terrible. Billy Donovan, you don't know how to game plan. You don't know how to call timeouts. Your rotations are absolutely terrible. And Billy Donovan is a disgrace. And this Bulls team is an absolute disgrace. You don't game plan. You don't read any scouting reports. You don't pre-rotate. Single-handedly, the LA Lakers came out ready to play from the jump. The Chicago Bulls played in the first quarter, but gave up after that. Pathetic. My high school basketball team can play better than the Chicago Bulls right now. And shout out to my Watchung Hills boys. They are killing it right now. This is terrible. This is terrible. Chicago and the Bulls, more specifically, you are a disgrace. You are an absolute disgrace. You're not getting better. You want to know why you're stuck below 500? You want to know why you're not going to get below 500? Because you got, or at 500, I should say, because you have zero mentality. You have no leadership. You have no accountability. Billy Donovan does not know how to coach. His coaching staff is absolutely pathetic. And you have players on the team that just talk a big game, but don't back it up. Kobe White, you had a really good game stat-wise, but I need to see some leadership out of you. This Bulls team is not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care if we make it to the play-in, we're going to automatically be eliminated. Because this Bulls team, until they show me they want it, they're not going to get it. LA, outstanding game. 60% for the field, 64% from 3, 75% for the free throw line. Chicago, despite the fact that they shot 53% for the field and 32% from 3 and 90% from the free throw line. The biggest difference in this game, 17 turnovers for the Bulls, allowing 26 points. Allowing 26 points of their 17 turnovers. Pathetic. At one point, the Lakers only had like 3. Only 3 at one point. So that tells me another thing. The LA Lakers have more discipline than the Bulls. Clearly. The rebounds, 39-30 in favor of the Bulls. Assist numbers, 35-27 in favor of the Lakers. The steals were 10-7 Lakers. Blocks were 6-4 Bulls. The points in the paint were 56-54 in favor of the Lakers. And the fast break points were 19-12 in favor of the Bulls. But The Lakers just came out shooting. They came out shooting. They got hot, and they never stopped. More specifically, D'Angelo Russell had a standout game. And the turnovers, the lack of discipline by the Chicago Bulls, the inability to lock in from the jump. And this is something that the Bulls are never going to learn. As soon as the ball goes up, after the national anthem, after they announce the starters, you need to have a mentality of let's lock in and win this game. The Chicago Bulls have no mentality whatsoever. No mentality. They are playing and hoping to win instead of playing and wanting to win. And if, God forbid, you lose to the Portland Trailblazers on Sunday, which is clearly a trap game because the Portland Trailblazers are one of the worst teams in the NBA. If you lose to the Portland Trailblazers, I might be leaving the city of Chicago. I don't know if that's an overreaction or anything. But let me tell you something. I'm telling you right now, the Miami Heat, the Indiana Pacers are getting better. Think of the trade deadline, for example, right? The Indiana Pacers and the Miami Heat made trades to get better. The Eastern Conference is getting way ahead of the Bulls because this front office is so complacent and hoping on the chemistry of this roster. Here's a news flash for you, Bulls front office. You need to get better. You want to know why? You're not going anywhere. You're getting bitter. While the Bulls are getting bitter, the entire Eastern Conference is getting better. And right now, the New York Knicks are playing better than you. The Miami Heat are better than you. By the way, shout out to Miami. They got Scary Terry, who was perfect for Heat culture. And the Indiana Pacers, who got Pascal Siakam, a guy that the Sacramento Kings should have gotten. But nevertheless, the Indiana Pacers were better than you. The only thing that I heard was the Bulls were in trade talks with the Detroit Pistons with Bogdanovich, Trey Jones from the New Orleans Pelicans are up there, Malcolm Brogdon, and Jaden Ivey. That's it. Complacent. Absolutely complacent and bitter. Bulls are not going to get better, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to tell everybody the truth. The Bulls are not going to get better. They're going to be lucky if they make the play-in. They're going to be lucky. Kobe White was the only guy that did well from my perspective. 25 points, 7 rebounds, or 7 rebounds, 3 assists. DeMar DeRozan, 32 points, 10 of 14 for the field in 41 minutes. Kobe White played 43 minutes last night. Alex Caruso went back in LA and scored 17 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Patrick Williams, you are the softest player in Chicago Bulls history. Why are you showing respect to LeBron James? You need to get up. You need to get up at him. Does Patrick Williams understand what defense means? He doesn't. Get rid of him. Get rid of this guy. Get rid of him. I mean, if Torrey Craig wasn't hurt, he would be starting over Patrick Williams right now. Patrick Williams is better coming off the bench. I'm just saying, Billy Donovan, I can coach better than you. Just saying. D'Angelo Russell, 29 points, 8 of 13 from 3, 10 of 18 for the field with 4 assists. He was absolutely cooking. Anthony Davis, 22 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. The GOAT, 25 points, 12 assists, 4 rebounds. Austin Reeves, 20 points, 2 of 3 from three-point range, 7 and 9 for the field because the Chicago Bulls just don't know how to guard. They don't know their personnel. They don't know how to read a scouting report. They don't know how to pre-rotate. They don't know how to ice or hedge a screen. They are not playing defense. They are getting outplayed. Billy Donovan is the worst coach of all time. And ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say it, the Bulls are not going to get better. They're going to be stuck near the bottom of the league until somebody does something. And right now, the Bulls are not doing nothing for me. Don't be surprised if the Chicago Bulls get to the bottom of the league by the trade deadline. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Shout out to the Lakers, though. They got a complete game and a complete team win. Coming up next, the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors played an absolute wild shootout, and a defensive stop led the Sacramento Kings to a win over the Golden State Warriors, splitting the regular season series. We're going to talk about that game coming up next on Let 'Em Know Kings United. We're back on Let 'Em Know Kings United, and what a freaking game between the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors. It reminded me of a Wild West shootout in Texas. For all of you people that saw a lot of Western movies, you might know or might not know what I am talking about, but what a freaking war between the teams that played in the best playoff series that I've ever seen in my life. Sacramento with a 1-point win, 134 to 133, in a game that was an absolute joy to watch. It was absolutely amazing. The last 3 games between the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings were decided by 1 point. 1 point. That's not only how close these teams are, but how evenly matched these teams are. And this game was part of NBA Rivalry Week. Now, some people might be listening to this podcast, or some people might be tuning into this show for the very first time, and you might be thinking, well, Sky, Sacramento and Golden State, it's not a rivalry. Did you watch how both of these teams played each other in the playoffs? Did you watch the playoff series between Sacramento and Golden State? Arguably the best playoff series that I've seen in this decade. There was a lot of key matchups, and it delivered once again. Steph Curry and De'Aaron Fox. Domantas Sabonis versus Draymond Green. Harrison Barnes, of all freaking people, went off again. Another career high for this man. 39 points. 39! And this is a guy that everybody thought that Harrison Barnes was the weak link of the Sacramento Kings. Everybody thought that Harrison Barnes needs to go. Ultimately, I still think he is a weak link on the Sacramento Kings team. And ultimately, I think Harrison Barnes is going to be the guy that goes in the trade deadline. But my God, when Harrison Barnes, the Black Falcon, was feeling it, the Sacramento Kings continue to look for him in any spot he likes. And let me tell you something. The Kings did an amazing job of just riding the hot hand. And Harrison Barnes was hotter than a kettle pan. That is exactly how hot Harrison Barnes was. Harrison Barnes said the way you have a high-powered offense is all 5 guys are going to have to make sacrifices at times. And you know what? I love the fact that Harrison Barnes said that. Harrison Barnes is one of the core staples of the Sacramento Kings for years. His leadership, his work ethic, even his cardio is absolutely immaculate. The way that he played, I couldn't be any more proud. I couldn't be any more proud of Harrison Barnes. I couldn't be also proud of the Sacramento Kings defense, especially in the last game. Kevin Huerter. Now, you had a golden opportunity to ice this game in the free throw line. Of course you couldn't do it. Of course Kevin Huerter struggles in making free throws, but everybody in the Sacramento Kings team is struggling to make free throws, especially late. That's why the Sacramento Kings are the worst team in the NBA when it comes to free throw shooting. But I love the fact that Steph Curry had the ball. Everybody and their mama knows that Steph Curry is gonna possibly take the last shot of the game. And I was like, oh no. I was literally watching this game on my TV. I'm actually in my dad's house right now. I was watching the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings game on my TV, and then on my computer, I reluctantly watched the Chicago Bulls and the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm still mad about the Chicago Bulls. I'm still not recovering from the rant that I did on Chicago in the last segment. But anyway, I was watching the tail end of this game. And when I saw Steph Curry have the ball, I'm like, we're going to lose this game. because the fact that Kevin Huerter didn't make a free throw, it reminded me of what Damian Lillard did to Milwaukee. That was not the case. That was not the case because Kevin Huerter played great help defense for De'Aaron Fox, and De'Aaron Fox got the steal on Steph Curry, who, by the way, for the first time in his NBA career, Steph Curry is not an NBA All-Star starter. SGA from my brother's team, shout out to my brother, Oklahoma City Thunder. He's starting in the starting guard position with Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Durant, LeBron, Raymond, James, and Luka Doncic, who honestly, speaking of Luka Doncic, is one of the more selfish players in the entire NBA. But that is another freaking story. But De'Aaron Fox got the steal to ultimately win the game for the Sacramento Kings on a night where both offenses were absolutely on fire. When you go back to the playoff matchup between Sacramento and Golden State for context purposes, we all expected that both offenses were going to come out swinging. Both offenses were going to deliver some punches. I mean, I expected an offensive matchup between both of these teams in the playoffs, but no, it actually wasn't. It was a defensive, grinded-out type of game. Now, personally, I don't mind these type of games, but I expected more from the offensive side of the ball. This game, however, ultimately delivered on the offensive side of the ball. Domantas Sabonis made the biggest play of the game. He had the go-ahead dunk. Kuminga got blocked by Harrison Barnes with 18 seconds to go. Big defensive play for HB there, hoping he get a whistle. Kevin Huerter missed a pair of free throws with 15 seconds remaining to give the Warriors one last chance, and everybody and their mama knows that Steph Curry was going to get the ball, right? Curry dribbled around the perimeter, trying to get a good look, and lost the ball. A similar ending to the Warriors' 124-123 loss November 28 when he turned the ball over late. Curry said he probably should have called a timeout. The chaos of the moment, you're trying to make a play. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. De'Aaron Fox had another good game for Sacramento, 29 points and 5 assists, which beat Atlanta 122-107 at home Monday night to end a 4-game losing streak. And the Sacramento Kings, by the way, I forgot to mention, are starting a 7-game road trip. For this game to be a big win to start out the road trip, I couldn't be any proud. I couldn't be any prouder of the Sacramento Kings. Magnificent game for both teams. Magnificent game. De'Aaron Fox said, I think a lot of it just happens in the flow. That's kind of how he's getting going. Speaking of HB, once he gets going, there's more of an effort to get him the ball in certain spots. The Kings went to the hot hand Harrison Barnes, who notched his second straight 30-point game. Jonathan Kuminga is an absolute monster for Golden State. He scored a career-high 31 points in his career-best 5th straight game with 20 or more points. A night after his 11-for-11 performance matched Hall of Famer Chris Mullin for most made baskets without a miss. This was another back-and-forth battle between the Northern California members who went the distance in their first-round playoff series last spring before Curry scored 50 in Game 7 to send the Warriors to the Western Conference semifinals against the LA Lakers, which still sickens me to this day. It still sickens me that I still got to talk about it. But anyway, for the Golden State Warriors, the Warriors completed an emotional 24 hours with back-to-back games after celebrating the life of assistant coach Dejan Milojevic, or Diki as they called him. He recently passed away due to a heart attack when the Warriors were getting ready to play the Utah Jazz. He had a medical emergency after a team dinner in a restaurant. And again, my thoughts and prayers are with the Golden State Warriors, the Golden State Warrior family, and all of Warrior fans and all of Dub Nation that are listening to this podcast. As a matter of fact, head coach Mike Brown of Sacramento wore a black braid t-shirt. It means brother in Serbian, and Diki used it fondly. With with his officials inside a heart that the Warriors had made for him. And Brown said afterward, "What an entertaining game." And actually, Mike Brown, you know what? It was a very, very entertaining game. I mean, Harrison Barnes stepped up big time. We all knew that Steph Curry was going to get his. But Keegan Murray, I cannot speak enough of how Keegan Murray has grown expeditiously over the last couple of games. His defense on Steph Curry, absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. He is growing to become a defensive animal. And oh, by the way, during the warm-ups, you got to hear this. Steph Curry told rookie teammate Brandon Podziemski he wanted to bring New York Liberty superstar Sabrina Ionescu, the all-time three-point contest record holder with 37 points, to town for a shootout. Sabrina Ionescu saw that on her Twitter feed or her X feed, whatever you want to call it now. She said, "You know what? Say less. Let's get it. I'm going to pull up. Can we please get Steph Curry versus Sabrina Ionescu over here? Like, seriously, I would pay my hard-earned money to see that matchup. I would pay my hard-earned money to see Steph Curry versus Sabrina Ionescu in a three-point contest. Give me that. Give me that now." But overall, this was an offensive slugfest. Both teams were throwing punch after every single counterpunch. Sacramento got the defensive stop late, and they were able to hold on for a 134-133 win in one of the most entertaining games I've seen in quite some time. Both teams shot 50% for the field, 55% for the field for Golden State, 51% for three-point range, 78% for the free throw line. For the Kings, 52% for the field. You can argue 53, 46% for three-point range, 84% for the free throw line. Another positive performance as far as free throw line goes for Sacramento. The rebounds, slight advantage for the Kings, 34-33. The assist, 33-30 in favor of the Kings. The blocks, 5-3 in favor of the Kings. The fast break points, 18-12 in favor of the Kings. The only advantage the Golden State had was in the paint, 52-40. But again, Jonathan Kuminga has been playing like a wild man possessed lately, and Kevon Looney is always a beast in the boards. Draymond Green was coming off the bench in this game, and he was doing his thing. So I can't really blame the Sacramento Kings for losing the battle in the paint, because Golden State still has some killers in attacking the paint. But as far as the offense, both of these teams delivered. De'Aaron Fox, 29 points, 5 assists, a steal. He was 3 of 7 from three-point range, 9 of 16 for the field. Kevin Huerter, 12 points, 1 for 3 from the foul line, which could have been icing this game if Steph Curry, if he would have made those two free throws, Kevin Huerter, Steph Curry wouldn't be able to have a golden opportunity to steal the game from the Golden State Warriors. But De'Aaron Fox and Kevin Huerter said, we gonna steal it and we gonna get this dub. Keegan Murray, 14 points with 6 rebounds, assists, and a steal, and 2 big-time blocks. He was big on both ends of the floor, particularly on the defensive end, which I was really impressed about. Harrison Barnes, this dude is hot right now. And when you're riding the hot hand, good things happen. He dropped 39 points with 4 rebounds, 7 of 12 from three-point range, 14 of 24 for the field, 4 of 4 for the free throw line. He also had 2 blocks, he has had 2 steals and a block. And Domas, Mr. Double-Double. 18 points, 13 assists. He had 8 rebounds and a big-time block. He was 8-11 from the field, 2 of 2 from three-point range. The Golden State Warriors were daring Domantas Sabonis to hit from mid-range. They were daring him to hit from 3. And my God, Domas was bringing it tonight. For the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry, 33 points, 6 of 14 from 3, with 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and a big-time steal. Kevon Looney, 4 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. Klay Thompson, one of the other Splash Brothers, did really well, 16 points. 16 points with shooting 5-14 for the field. Jonathan Kuminga is starting to become a beast, ladies and gentlemen. He is starting to be an absolute beast for the Golden State Warriors. He dropped 31 points off the bench, 12 and 19 for the field, 2 of 4 for three-point range. He also had 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 big-time steals. It was a very entertaining game. It was like a Wild West shootout between the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings not only got a win, but they split the regular season series. I do not want to see this matchup again in the playoffs. I don't. I want to see a different matchup for one or both of these teams, because I think the Golden State Warriors will find themselves one way or another back in the playoff hunt. But good win for Sacramento. A good overall win, a big win at that. This is the first time that the Sacramento Kings have won on the road in Golden State for the first time since 2020. That's how big this win was, and Sacramento earned every ounce of it. Good win for the Sacramento Kings. Good win. That's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United. You can find this show on Amazon Music, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Radio Public, Pandora, wherever else you want to listen to this show. Give the show a follow on those platforms. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. I am your host, Skylar Weisberg. I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in, and I will see you next time for another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United.